side facing east, but then when you're looking at the basilica and the sun going down behind it, it's always
so beautiful.
So beautiful, yeah.
But everybody's eyes are on this.
Yeah, everybody's looking up, waiting for the doors to open and then the white curtains to be pulled back.
Well, and there's actually a story about, what's happening right now. Again, the Room of Tears, the Pope, the new Pope getting dressed. And we know that there are 3 sizes of the white cassocks because you don't know who's going to be elected, but you have to be prepared. And actually one of our colleagues, Christopher Wells, who was on this morning actually on the Smoke Watch, was talking about Pope John the 23rd, and he was...
That's the left.
And actually, since it didn't fit, they had to tie it like a medical garment.
Exactly.
And so it's a funny little anecdote to just remember that, no one knows, and so everyone's prepared, but that's what's going on right now. They're trying on the garments, and they're seeing what's fitting.
And of course they have different sizes available to start with, but sometimes they might need adjusting, depending.
Exactly. We're all made in God's image and likeness in different sizes. So there you go.
See all those flags representing the different nations present. Also, it is the Jubilee of Hope, and so we have pilgrims here for Jubilee events over these days as well. I think I read about 15,000 for currently in Rome just for the Jubilee themed events. For pilgrimages that were organized well ahead of time.
Well, and we're hearing from our producer, Francesco Merlo, that they're looking outside our building, and as I mentioned, there's helicopters, but they're blocking off the roads, and that's what Liz was mentioning too, that people are stopping, and they're just trying to get to the square as fast as they can. So it's a moment of organized chaos a bit in the square and around the Vatican.
We have reports that there are people literally running to get into the square. And they will eventually, as they go through the checks and controls there. They do an extraordinary job of the crowd control as well, with these many people coming into St. Peter's Square and avoiding any potential problems or issues due to that. So,
and that is, you have to think that, maybe everything has a purpose, right? Everything has a reason, because we have this time in between the white smoke and the Habemus Papam, maybe also for everyone to get to the square. It's a dual-edged sword. The new Pope is being prepared and ready to go to the loggia, but it's also to let everyone who can get to the square to be there for that special moment.
And we're seeing it with our Vati drone footage here, as I'd like to call it. And you can see the square there. It's just wonderful. You can get a sense of the crowds, and then on the people kind of streaming in from the main avenue della Conciliazione and some of the side streets there.
Talking about the universality of the church, I just got a message from a UN official in Gaza who's listening to this transmission, and so you could see how connected people are and how grateful they are to be able to hear Vatican news as well.
Yeah, of course.
We're grateful to have you here to say some nice, intelligent things for us.
I don't know.
As well as and give us some interesting input on all, and to share this experience. As you see, our drone footage there shows our Vati drone is showing the avenue there filling up with people, and as they come closer to the square, then they just go through a check there.
And all the flags are ready.
And Thaddeus, since this is your third conclave in Rome.
In Rome, yes.
And
I haven't been at conclave elsewhere.
No, but you've been in Rome.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But have you ever had the opportunity, because I know working here, we're always pretty much in here, but have you ever had the chance to run out to the square or see the excitement?
For Pope Benedict, I was up there on the colonnade there. If you're looking here on the footage here, you can see here on the left side there on that colonnade there where the statues are, on top of the Charlemagne wing of the colonnade. I was up there and able to just view from that position where all the photographers, videographers were most of them anyway, accredited, to see him come out and greet the crowds and give his blessing. And I remember, this is a strange thing, but after that event, going back into the Vatican and running into Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio.
Oh my gosh.
This is long after probably about an hour after the blessing was given and we ended And I remember it distinctly because I knew the faces of all the cardinals, and so it was a...
Little did you know.
Little did I know. Little did I know. And then when there we see some of the cardinals there, there's Cardinal, I think that's Cardinal Whirl, and we see, and then...
Cantamesa,
and then
O'Malley.
The cardinal non-electors.
Yeah, exactly. They're over 80.
And
so
there's
they're non-electors.
Sister Petrina,
yes.
the head of the Governatorato now.
And that's Archbishop Fisichella as well, I think.
And we see the secretary of the dicastery for communication there, Monsignor Lucio Luis, as well. Anyway.
Well, and so, Thaddeus, was it, I mean, obviously it's very different being inside here, but the excitement is still pretty much the same, being on the braccio, the colonnade, and being
very
here.
much so, because you're seeing things up close, and not only into the bells I was mentioning earlier that you hear very clearly and loudly, but then seeing from a unique angle, almost at below the level of the central loggia, but higher up from in the square. In 2013, then I remember I was down the street on the Conciliazione looking out the window at the crowds on Via della Conciliazione, and I could see the central loggia from which Pope Francis appeared then in 2013. So that was my other experience, per se, and a unique one at that. And now here in our studio here, right close to the action there.
Exactly.
It's a third privileged experience. Again, what's really... you really feel is the excitement of it, and the joy of having a new pope, but then also the expectation: who's it going to be?
Right.
And I remember with Pope Benedict, it was a bit the weather was a bit cloudy and cool then. I mean, this is a day of just brilliant sunshine, mild temps. Of course, we're in May, and so things warm up here quite a bit and pretty quickly.
When Pope Francis was elected, I was helping out at an English-speaking parish in Geneva, in addition to my other work. And the pastor had asked me to give a talk to the parents of the First Communion children. And we got the news just as I was ready to start the talk. So I knew tonight I'm not going to get anything else done with this.
Wow, so you've gotten the announcement in different places all around the world.
Yes.
No, that's amazing. And every time just a tad different. And
we have joining us Father Paul Samasumo, who's from Zambia, and he's head of the English Africa section here at Vatican News and the Dicastery for Communication. Father Samasumo, good to have you here. Many of our listeners who the liturgies will recognize your voice as well as you do the commentaries for the papal events. How
security forces allowed. People are just running into the square. It's amazing. It's my first conclave. I came in just after Pope Francis had been elected.
So this is quite an experience for you.
It is an experience for me as well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Even just the moments leading up to this experience. I live in a house where some of the cardinals also were staying before they moved to Santa Marta. Of course, they had their own little tables, and sometimes we'll just provoke them. They had sought secrecy, of course, confidentiality, but it was so wonderful, and the dedication of them going to the congregations, the meetings, and even the non-electors, some of them live there permanently in our house. And we have some of the staff who have been helping. They had to also do the swearing in, so that they would be. Some of them couldn't go because they're small children and they wanted to stay next to their children. So it has been a great experience, even from that point of view.
Well, and also, since you're from Zambia, how do you think people in Africa, the African continent, are taking this moment? I mean, we have viewers, listeners from all around the world, but your experience in in watching the conclave and being prepared for this Habemos Papa moment, like, what do you think is the atmosphere, the environment of people watching in Africa?
It's a great moment. I can tell you already I've received about 5 or 6 calls just within the space of 10 minutes as I was coming in.
Wow.
From some of my colleagues who are in the media. And I think the most, the call that I really enjoyed was from my uncle. My uncle is 82 and usually we talk to him through my aunt because he has a problem of hearing. But he's so excited, so everybody's following. They're following on various channels there, the national television stations, on radio and so forth. It's a great moment. And knowing Africa, they've always been fascinated by the popes. I remember even from a time when I was a young boy myself in catechism, we used to be taught the anthem, the papal anthem.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was very familiar for you to hear.
Not this one, but there's an old one that was translated in our languages.
Oh, wonderful. Translated in your language?
Yes, yeah.
In your language? Or languages?
Exactly.
And what are your languages, by the way?
Well, I'm from Zambia, and Zambia has 72 languages.
Oh my goodness.
Of which 8 or so are the main ones that's widely spoken. English is the official language, so you can get by with that.
Fantastic. I imagine people tune in even to our live streams, even if it's in Italian, Latin, or with your translation in English. I imagine it's a way to connect people. Tune in the same, even if they don't understand what's being said.
It is, and some directors of some of our Catholic radio stations. I'll give you an example. In Kenya alone, there are about 11 Catholic radio stations. So you've been asking, what time is the smoke? Why are we having the smoke? Yeah.
Well, and it's really interesting now that we have you, Father Paul, in here, because as we heard from Father Bob, we had a message from Gaza, listening there, and then now you hearing messages from all over, and
exactly.
So it's the wide-reaching effect of this moment, and as the message or the theme that we've seen throughout our conversation has been universality, and how this is not just a moment for people here in Rome, and not just for Catholics, for people everywhere.
In fact, I'd like to thank people around the globe tuning into our live stream here. Maybe you're watching on a local or a national network, local Catholic radio, wherever you're listening. Thanks for joining us here. We're going to be providing you with all the information we can as we await this historic moment to find out who the new Pope is. And we'll know pretty soon. It's been about about a half hour or so since the
close
smoke.
to an hour.
An hour.
An hour? Okay.
It was around 6 o'clock Rome time.
There you are.
It was 6:07 or something.
Like
So
that.
any moment now there. And we see the crowds are coming in to the square, still streaming in, slowly but surely. On the sides there, you can see on the right side and on the left side, after going through the checks there, and then coming into the square, and they can all see things pretty well because there are these big television screens and good high-res ones too in the square and along the Conciliazione Avenue leading into the square. So many people, they can see just what we're seeing all together here. These same images and coverage. Sometimes there's some text message or some subtitling there and info for them, but they can get a good idea of what's happening even if they're not up close, thanks to the nice new technology we have out there.
Well, and I'm sure, as we all talked about before, and Father Paul, you would also, I'm sure, have experience with this, but using like the screens in the square, us doing this commentary, and you have to imagine that social media is blowing up with this moment,
Oh, yes.
I mean, everyone that's in the square is live streaming, I'm sure, taking videos, taking pictures, and so the news is spreading even faster than it would have 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Exactly. Even just here in Rome, just the streets, the cafes. What I found interesting is, I'm sure you've seen the guys that sell trinkets and stuff. Some of them are from Senegal or from Bangladesh and so forth. And when the smoke came out, this guy asked me, "Do we have a pope?" And he said, "Do we have a pope?" I thought most of them are Muslims, but that kind of interest is really very touching. and I found very moving, to be honest. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have another story on that. When Pope John Paul II died, I told you I was on my way to Gambia, and I had to go through Senegal. So in Dakar, there was this long line that I was waiting to go in through immigration, and the guard pulled me out and said, the Pope has died. I said, yes, I know. So then he said, you come up to the front, and then he brought me to the official, and he said, you must have this father go through now because the Pope has died. And then he told me that he had a chapelet, a rosary from John Paul II because he was part of the police when John Paul II visited Dakar. Next morning, 5 o'clock, I'm back in the line because I have to then fly to Gambia. And again, he came, pulled me out of the line, got me through, is everything okay with you? It was really amazing. But you see, again, what the Pope means to so many people. And he told me he was Muslim, but, he was important religious leader.
Right, of course.
Again, I'm sure people around the world now are just tuning in, dropping in and out of this broadcast and other broadcasts to see what we're all waiting for with anticipation of who the new Pope is. And that should be very soon now. And we'll know, of course, not only from the video we have here, but then when the crowds let us know with their cheers and applause.
It will be we'll all be trying to give you immediately the name of the Cardinal, which has now become the Pope. And as I believe, TJ, you mentioned earlier, or no, Father Bob, you mentioned it will be in Latin. And so we'll all be brushing up on our Latin in between, now and then, so that we will have the name correctly. And then we'll also get to hear the name that the new Pope chooses to be
I think the name is always also interesting because it kind of gives this vision of what he wants to do with the Papacy. Probably not what he wants to do, but what what inspires him. And Father had an anecdote there. I also have one. And when Pope Francis chose the name Francis, one of the Jesuits in Zambia told me, we were so excited because we thought you were chosen Francis Xavier.
Yes. And actually it was the next morning that Francis clarified that this was Francis of Assisi. So
yeah, it's true, because a lot of people were trying to guess and figure it out.
That's right. When he met with journalists, he explained the origin of the name that he took and why.
And it's special, like you mentioned, Father Paul, right? So it usually drives an idea of what the focus might be for the pontificate, choosing this special name. And we had mentioned earlier, right, that the person, I think it was Liz that mentioned, the person becomes a new person in that sense. The Pope is a new man because he gets rid of the old name, takes on this new name, and he's no longer just Cardinal whoever. He's the Pope of the Universal Church, the Pope that is the symbol of the Catholic Church around the world. Not only because, he is known as Pope, but also because of his white cassock that is widely recognizable.
We're seeing these camera shots. Those big television screens, people know when they're on camera, and so they have their moment of fame, their few seconds of fame, waving and greeting everyone there. So it's always kind of fun too. It brings a little involvement and participation for everyone. And
it's good that the authorities, I think they planned this very well. You have screens around the Vatican, so that reduces also the congestion. We have the new square which has just been redone for the Jubilee year here. So there's another screen there just outside this building. And people are just sitting out there. They are not rushing to go into the square because they can see. And maybe they even get a better shot a better view from the screen there. So there are a number of these large screens surrounding the area. And I think it was very good planning on that part.
Yeah, wonderful fact. And then even just the organization, I'm always impressed with the crowd organization, how people are led into these areas to assure that they can get in. It might take a little time, but then also how everything has come off so well without a hitch.
Again, it was almost prophetic because so much of the reconfiguration of the square and Via della Conciliazione was done for the Jubilee, but it served very well for the funeral and now for the new Pope.
Yeah, the city has done all these works projects also to help traffic flow well through the area. And here we have It looked like, let's see here, that was Cardinal Schönborn, was it?
Yes, and then
also
Cardinal, who was the head of the Christian Unity.
That's right,
Yes.
okay.
And you can hear the helicopters. You can hear them in the square now. So it's getting louder and more apparent that there's people from all over, and everyone's getting images of the square.
And I think the security forces trying to keep the peace. And I noticed also they blocked some of the roads leading to, so that people are running across the roads, you know. So
you gotta keep them safe too.
You gotta keep them safe, right, Kelsey?
Well, and so one of our colleagues, Lisa Zangarini, she did a lot of research on why we have this tradition of changing the baptismal name of the cardinal into the name for the Pope, and it actually started way back,
it looks like
in 2,000 years ago to Saint Peter, whose original name was.
À Rome, le monde regarde Rome, capte
and his energy, and also animated as well, giving his homilies as well.
de l'Église catholique et romaine en fait.
Here we are, all right, we got this flag.
Someone is just asking me on the phone, do we have the name yet?
Yes.
We will learn with all of you.
We're all like everyone else.
It must be hard for those cardinals out there now,
right.
because I'm sure, they're not allowed to tell us.
Exactly.
But,
That's true. Yeah.
Wow.
Mom's the word.
Mom is the word. And we're just waiting for the appearance. Pope Watch is on high alert.
That's right. It could be turned into. It will be a warning soon.
It will be.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
All right. So even some quiet among the crowds now as this anticipation is
Building.
sinking in and building.
Because I think what they will do as soon as the square is full, they don't let any more people inside to prevent a stampede.
That makes sense, yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Again, like you were saying, the safety.
Yeah.
Safety is a big priority, even though it's exciting. And you see even small children getting excited for this moment. on our screen. So from the youngest to the oldest.
Fun for them, fun for us.
Exactly.
Too, you know?
It's fun for all ages.
Indeed.
And even the Vatican flag.
Vatican flag. And we're lucky the sun's gone down behind, it looks like behind the Basilica now, so you won't have the sun blinding you as you look at the central balcony of the loggia there.
So a bit of anxiety yesterday, when the smoke wasn't coming. I said, what's happening? Why is it taking that long and so forth? But, you could understand, I think as has been explained, there's so much to do. There was the juramento, there was
the homily of Cardinal Cantalamessa as well.
Then, and then there was also the Vespers as well. So I think you can understand. But you could also understand also the anxiety and the joy and the excitement surrounding all this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then the first time going through the whole process of the voting process, whereas that this morning came along, it was all it wasn't anything new. They're going in there to vote, and, before prayer, of course.
I mean, a lot of these flags that we're seeing on the screen as we wait for the Pope, it reminds me a lot of World Youth Day. The same kind of excitement, the same kind of building. You see young people from all over. It's a really beautiful image, and I think is again just a sign of the youthfulness of the Church. We talk a lot about the future of the Church, which begins with this new Pope, but the young people that are also present at this moment to see the historic aspect of this. It's really beautiful.
And we see the internationality, the universality of the Catholic Church. It's a global reality, and we see that in the crowds there in the square.
And this we also saw during the funeral of Francis. So many people.
Okay, there's movement. Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
The white curtains are behind the glass door. Now the doors are being open.
And we see first.
Here we are.
The Cardinal Proto-Deacon.
He's
smiling.
He's smiling. He will give us the announcement. Here we are.
Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum. Habemus papam. Eminentissimum ac reverendissimum Dominum, Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost, qui sibi nomen imposuit Leonem XIV.
So the Pope is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who's taken the name of Leo XIV, Pope Leo XIV. Cardinal Prevost is an American, and he spent most of his ministry in Latin America, in Peru, and also in Paraguay. And he's an Augustinian father. He was the provincial in Latin America, and then became the Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru. And he then is also he became the Superior General of the Augustinian Fathers as well. He's now he's been the prefect of the dicastery for bishops.
We see the cardinal electors there appearing on the balcony there as well, with this joy and the smiles on their face.
A great joy indeed, and well, it wasn't one of those fabulous things to say. What a great joy.
It's a wonderful joy, and He's from Chicago,
Yes.
Illinois. Okay.
An American.
An American.
An American. I think that's a historic moment.
It is truly, truly historic.
And you can see all the cardinals on the different balconies there. For our radio listeners, you may not be able to see this, of course, but they're appearing on all the balconies to the left and right of the central balcony there. All of them clearly standing out with their red vestments and smiles, and
waiting to again for all of us to greet this new pope as well.
The new pope.
Which now we know his name.
Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, Augustinian, and has served as prefect of our dicastery for bishops. A native of Chicago, Illinois, in the United States.
Wow. And so, as we said before, you saw all the flags and everything out in the square, and now all the Americans are holding their flags.
It's a historic moment. Who would have imagined?
Too, I'm sure. He spent most of his ministry in Peru.
Yeah, and that's a special thing, So he has a connection with multiple.
Experience
exactly.
And this,
exactly.
continuation of evangelization mission of the church.
The priority, yeah. So you can see still the like little pockets of red where all the cardinals are standing on the balconies.
And from our Vati drone footage, and seeing it from above there, it's a unique view, perched above in front of the facade and looking down at them as they're on the balconies there, awaiting now as the new pope, as we mentioned there, Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost. And Pope Leo the 14th.
Pope Leo the 14th.
The 14th.
And of course, Leo the 13th was the great social reforming pope for us.
He was the great social reformer.
Yeah, and he died in 1903, so still fairly recent in the grand scheme of things.
Was Pope Leo the one with the Rerum Novarum?
Yes, exactly.
There you go, good memory.
From my seminary.
And then his successors wrote other encyclicals every 40 years afterwards.
So he started like a trend.
Yes, and it's really one of the constitutions of Catholic social ministry and Catholic
probably
social
I would say a pope needed for our times with all the social challenges the world has today.
Yes.
And he's relatively young, 69 years old, born on the 14th of September 1955, as you mentioned, in Chicago, Illinois, and so 69.
Well, and Father Paul, as you were just saying, I agree, and maybe Father Bob, you can really stress this point because you work in social work humanitarian, exactly,
integral human development.
This is an important aspect of the church.
The Catholic social teaching, I think, is important.
Very.
And it's often called the untold story of the church, or perhaps the hidden secret of the church. It has so much, and there's a lot of development.
And was one of the needs discussed by the cardinals during their congregations this last week too. So.
There's
the American flag.
Flag there. People are thrilled about this.
Yeah, and there's quite a number of American students. Dr. O'Donnell was here, and he was going to be in the square with his American students. So you can imagine them cheering.
Yes,
it will be a treat for them, indeed. Yes.
I can imagine the scene. The house I live behind is the Basilica of St. Augustine, where we have also the tomb of St. Monica.
Yes.
So
beautiful church
for all the Augustinians.
Yeah, very special day.
Yes.
Indeed, he. Looking at his biography in going back to more recent history, 1999, he was elected the provincial prior of the Mother of Good Counsel province in Chicago of the Augustinians, and after 2.5 years, the Ordinary General Chapter elected him Prior General of the Order of the OSAs. Ministry again entrusted to him in 2007 at their Ordinary General Chapter. And reading here, in October 2013, he returned to his province of Chicago to serve as teacher of the professed and provincial. He served as, and then you can see his roles there. And 3rd of November 2014, when Pope Francis appointed him apostolic administrator of the Diocese of Chiclayo in Peru, where he served many years, and he was made a bishop there, and he served there for many years. And then in March 2018, he became second vice president of the Peruvian Episcopal Conference. So working as a missionary there, missionary bishop as well in Peru. Here we're seeing these beautiful shots of the Vatican there, of at the same level almost of those balconies, and all the cardinals kind of crowded in those balconies.
And they look like they have the same anticipation that we do.
Exactly. Any moment now, Pope Leo XIV will be appearing.
Pope Leo XIV.
Will be appearing from that balcony.
Well,
Leo XIV.
Looking again at his predecessor, well, the person he took the name from before, Leo the 13th. He actually, Pope Leo XIII had the third longest papacy, well, verified papacy that we know of, behind Peter, the apostle, and then John Paul II. So one from way back in church history and one from our very recent history.
Long live the Pope.
Exactly. No, and even on the screens now you can see a lot of people climbing up on the, what are they, the square craning, yes. Just trying to get a good view of the new Pope.
And there we have the cardinals. These are the cardinal electors, right?
Right. The ones that helped make this decision.
Yes.
Which, we had 133 cardinal electors, then
Stability is so great. So very fitting, very telling, eh?
Well, and before you came in, Father Paul, Dr. Liz Lev was talking about the Pauline Chapel, and that's where the new Pope, now Pope Leo the 14th, when he will walk down this hallway in the chapel, and at the end of the chapel is an image of Peter crucified upside down, but the artist turned his head so that when the new Pope is walking down the hallway, Peter's eyes are following.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Pope Leo XIV is now appearing, coming to the central loggia of the Basilica.
Very special moment.
Very special moment.
And
here he is.
There he is.
And the applause going up, the greeting, the waving,
big
the
smiles. How amazing.
How amazing.
And Dr. Liz Lev was also talking about the symbolism of the red that he's wearing. You know, it is a sacrificial role, and that is the symbol of the cloth that he's wearing right now.
And you see this beautiful close-up view from the side there, at the same level as the loggia. Pope Leo XIV.
Pope Leo XIV.
Amazing. Smiling. And you can see who wouldn't be taken by the moment. And,
I think going through his mind, you know, the weight of this responsibility.
Oh yeah. You can see it on his face.
You can see it on his face.
Amazing.
After this, you're never the same person.
No.
And we're hearing the bands below, the mutual salute of the anthems, the hymns of the Vatican hymn and the Italian national anthem, as we do traditionally through Easter and Christmas, as we've mentioned.
And after this, now Pope Leo XIV, he will give a greeting and impart his first apostolic blessing, the Urbi et Orbi, to the city and to the whole world.
So that blessing extends to everyone who is watching, everyone who is listening, your family, wherever you are. It's a great moment to prepare ourselves for this first blessing.
This most solemn blessing, you can just feel and see the emotion on his face.
Yeah.
And the crowds that are gathered in St. Peter's Square, still arriving, we're being told, from the avenues surrounding the Vatican there, the streets and
So just getting messages here, congratulations, God bless the Pope. And you can hear the chanting from the square.
Long live the Pope. Viva el Papa. Viva el Papa.
Viva el Papa.
And we're all silent now, awaiting his first words.
La pace sia con tutti voi. Fratelli, sorelle carissimi, questo è il primo saluto del Cristo risorto, il buon pastore che ha dato la vita per il gregge di Dio. Anch'io vorrei che questo saluto di pace entrasse nel vostro cuore, raggiungesse le vostre famiglie, a tutte le persone, ovunque siano, a tutti i popoli, a tutta la terra. La pace sia con voi.
We're just hearing the first words of Pope Leo XIV. As he continues, we'll provide a summary here in just a moment as we listen to his words. He's asked everyone to, brothers,
Questa è la pace di Cristo risorto.
this is the peace
Una
of the risen
pace
Christ,
disarmata e una pace disarmante.
a peace that is
umile
disarming
e perseverante.
and humble and persevering.
Proviene da Dio.
It comes from
Dio
God,
che ci ama a tutti
God who loves all of us
incondizionalmente.
without any limits and conditions.
Ancora conserviamo nei nostri orecchi
And
quella voce debole ma
we
sempre
still have
coraggiosa
the sound
di
in our
Papa
ears of
Francesco
the weak voice
che
of Pope
benediva a
Francis,
Roma.
who is blessing Rome here. We have that fresh in our minds, in our hearts, in our ears, hearing his voice.
Il Papa che benediva Roma
The Pope who was blessing
dava la
Rome,
sua benedizione al mondo
giving his blessing
intero
to the world
quella mattina del giorno di
on that
Pasqua.
morning, on that day of Easter Sunday.
Consentitemi di dar seguito a quella stessa
Allow me
benedizione.
to continue
Dio
that
ci
same
vuole
blessing.
bene, Dio vi ama tutti
God loves everyone.
e il male non prevarrà.
Evil will not
Siamo
prevail.
tutti nelle mani
We
di
are all
Dio.
in the hands of God.
Pertanto, senza paura,
So without fear,
uniti,
united,
mano nella mano con Dio
hand in
e
hand,
tra di noi,
with God and among ourselves,
andiamo avanti.
we go forward.
Siamo discepoli di
We are
Cristo.
disciples of Christ.
Cristo ci precede.
Christ goes before us.
Il mondo ha bisogno della sua luce.
The world needs his light.
L'umanità necessita di Lui come
Humanity
il ponte
needs
per
him.
essere raggiunta da Dio e dal suo amore.
But as the bridge between God and his love,
Aiutateci anche voi, poi gli uni gli altri, a costruire i ponti
may we all
con il
build
dialogo,
bridges
con l'incontro,
with dialogue and
unendoci
encounter,
tutti per essere un solo
so that we can
popolo,
all be
sempre in pace.
one people, all in peace.
Grazie a Papa Francesco.
Thank you, Pope Francis, for all you've done. We're hearing the first words here of Pope Leo XIV, just elected Pope.
Voglio ringraziare anche tutti i confratelli
I'd like to
cardinali
also
che
thank my
hanno
brother cardinals
scelto me
who chose
per essere
me to
successore di
be the
Pietro
successor of
e
Peter
camminare insieme a voi
and to
come Chiesa
walk along
unita,
with you,
cercando la pace, la giustizia,
searching all together for
cercando
peace and
sempre
justice,
lavorare come uomini
and working
e donne
together,
fedeli a Gesù
men and women
Cristo,
faithful to
senza
Christ,
paura,
without fear,
per proclamare
to
il Vangelo,
proclaim the
per
gospel,
essere missionari.
to be missionaries. Pope Leo offering these initial words, which we're just translating on the fly here.
Un figlio di Sant'Agostino,
I'm a son of Saint Augustine, and I'm an Augustinian,
che ha detto: con voi sono cristiano e per voi vescovo.
With you I am a Christian, and for you I am
possiamo
a bishop.
tutti camminare
So
insieme
may we all
verso quella
walk
patria
together towards that,
la quale Dio ci ha preparato.
to the place that God has prepared for us. May we walk together,
Alla
accompany each
Chiesa
other. To the Church
di Roma,
of Rome,
un saluto
a
speciale.
special greeting. As Bishop of Rome, of course, a special greeting.
Dobbiamo cercare insieme come essere
We've
una
got to
chiesa
look
missionaria,
at how we can together be a
una
missionary
chiesa
church,
che costruisce i ponti,
a church
il
that builds
dialogo,
bridges,
sempre aperta a ricevere,
that is
come
always
questa
open
piazza con le
to
braccia
receive
aperte a tutti,
everyone,
tutti coloro
just
che
like in
hanno
this square,
bisogno
to receive
della
everyone,
nostra
to welcome
carità, la
everyone,
nostra presenza,
our charity,
il dialogo,
our
l'amore.
dialogue and love.
Y se me permiten también una palabra, un saludo
And now, a greeting in Spanish. Please allow me here
a
to
todos aquellos, y en modo particular a mi querida diócesis de Chiclayo en el Perú,
So to all of you, but especially to the people of my diocese of Chiclayo in Peru,
donde un pueblo fiel ha acompañado a su obispo, ha compartido su fe y ha dado tanto para
where we
seguir
had such faithful
siendo
people accompanying
iglesia fiel
the
de
bishop,
Jesucristo.
and we had such faithful
A
people
tutti voi,
helping the
fratelli e
bishop.
sorelle di Roma, d'Italia, di tutto il
To
mondo,
all of you,
vogliamo essere
the people
una
of
chiesa
Rome and of Italy,
sinodale, una chiesa che cammina, una chiesa che
we need
cerca
to be a
sempre la
synodal
pace,
church, a
cerca
church that's a
sempre la
pilgrim,
carità, cerca
that
sempre di
shows
essere
charity
vicino
always,
specialmente a coloro che soffrono.
and especially is charitable to those who are suffering.
Oggi
Today,
il giorno della supplica alla Madonna di Pompei.
today is the day of praying to the
Nostra
Madonna of
Madre
Pompeii.
Maria vuole sempre camminare con noi, stare
Our
vicino,
Blessed Mother Mary always
aiutarci
wants to
con
be
la sua
close to us.
intercessione e il suo amore.
She always
Allora
wants to
vorrei pregare
intercede for
insieme a
us
voi.
through her love.
Preghiamo insieme
So
per questa nuova
let
missione,
us pray together
però
for
per
this new
tutta la
mission,
Chiesa,
for
per la
all of the
pace nel
church,
mondo.
for peace in the
Chiediamo
world,
questa grazia speciale
that she will
di
help
Maria,
us
nostra
give us a
madre.
special grace, our mother.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia,
Hail Mary,
il
full of
Signore è
grace,
con
the Lord
te.
is with you.
Tu sei benedetta fra le
You are
donne
blessed among
e
women,
benedetto è il frutto del
and
tuo
blessed is
seno,
the fruit of your
Gesù.
womb, Jesus.
Santa Maria,
Holy
Madre
Mary,
di Dio,
Mother of God,
prega per noi
pray
peccatori,
for us sinners,
adesso e nell'ora
now
della
and at the
nostra
end hour of our
morte.
death.
Amen.
Amen.
Pope Leo XIV there.
Pope Leo XIV, very interesting. A few themes coming out already there from his speech, talking about peace.
Indeed, saying a greeting of peace. May my greeting of peace enter into your hearts and reach your families. All people, wherever you are, all peoples of the entire planet. May peace be with you. God's peace be with you, he said. And here we see him in after having given that opening and beautiful words.
Continuing
to all.
also the message of Pope Francis, where he even said in Spanish and Italian, tutti, tutti,
Il
tutti,
Santo
todos.
Padre Leone, a tutti i fedeli presenti
And so
And the
Pope,
Holy
e a
Father, Pope
quelli che
Leo, and
ricevono la sua
to all people
benedizione a
in the
mezzo
square
della
and all
radio, della
receiving
televisione e
are
delle
hearing this
altre tecnologie
through
di
new technology,
comunicazione,
online, everywhere.
concede l'indulgenza plenaria
Offers
nella forma
the
stabilita
plenary
dalla
indulgence
Chiesa.
in the formula established by the
Preghiamo
Church.
Dio
We pray
Onnipotente
to Almighty God
perché conservi a
that-
lungo il
that he
Papa a
may
guida della
keep the Pope
Chiesa e conceda
and
pace e
protect him
unità alla Chiesa
and
in
guide the
tutto
Church
il mondo.
and the